All right, here we go. Elimination series. 0 and 2 teams are going to be battling it out. They're playing a best of 3. If they win, they survive to play another. And they'll have to continue doing this. For any team to make it in from this point, they're going to have to win a series at 0-2. They'll have to win a series at 1-2. And then they'll have to win a series at 2-2. So we're talking about at least 6 more games for any of these teams to make it through, with the potential of 9 more, totaling for 11. So the bad news is it's a long road. The good news is if you do make it, you are going to be battle tested, and then you're going to have to play against someone like Genji or JDG, which kind of rough spot looking at their current form. So anyways, we'll see. We'll take it for what it is with these guys battling. Team Liquid having seemed really shaky. They've had impressive early games. They had a lead against T1. They just threw it away. That was their mantra all season. And especially with the language barrier, now that APA is in the lane and you don't have a full Korean speaking team, we don't have Team LCK. I would make the game as complicated as I can, right? Constant movement, constant rotation, see if we can dare them to move around the map. That said, there was also some individual changes. I'd like to see Summit playing a little bit better, especially on Cassante. Some really wacky builds coming out of this team. And in this draft, we see some more of the same. We have Jace, Syndra, Xayah bans, followed by Ziggs, Lee, and Viego. Ziggs being a nod towards APA. He's basically, one of the best players, maybe the best player. Maybe this is their only chance at winning, is if he gets Ziggs. But they haven't done it yet. Xayah has been the best champion in the tournament by far. With the AD carries pinched, I would hope to see Ashe, but it looks like we don't get it. We end up with B4 Aphelios into Zeri Rakan, so the big scaling advantage is going to go here. Aphelios just does not feel like the same champion ever since his nerfs in 13-13 or 13-12, whatever changed the Gravitum and his Severum to decrease the slow and decrease the all-in on the red gun. Has made it tough. So we'll see if they're able to put something together here. The Orianna Jarvan, nice classic combination. They've got that for themselves. Obviously, you'd like to have Rumble as well, but Rumble has been taken R1. Alistar was on the table early to go with this combination as well, but that was not taken. Ballista pinched the pool, and that made them take Zeri first and then pass the Aphelios. If this were Ashe, I would have loved their draft. But as it's Aphelios, I think it's bad. I think Ashe is criminally underrated right now. And anyways, we'll see how this game goes. All right, let's check it out. Okay, game 1 of the series, Gigabyte Marines, who have a lot of NA fans. In fact, there's probably some people unironically cheering for Gigabyte Marines from NA because they have as many people that have played in NA for longer. Like Levi having spent some time here, a couple of these guys having tryouts in NA as well, versus TL, who just, bunch of Korean imports, only APA coming up. The meme was Team LCK. I think they lost a lot of fans doing this. I'm not a big fan. I wish that they would go the disguised toast route. I'd much rather have that roster than this one. I'd rather have 5 NA players on my NA team and then not have to deal with language barriers, not have to deal with any of that. Even though you have on this team 2 players who have beaten Faker at Worlds. But that's basically all they have going for them. Synergy has not been there. Their laning strength has been world class, and then everything falls apart in the mid game. All right, early start. We've got Jarvan getting a leash right here. This is a nod to Cassante not wanting to play into Rumble anyways, so you might as well give the leash. Maokai actually going for a blue start. Normally, when you see no leash down here and you expect Maokai to go Raptors, you have a certain series of paths that can exploit that. So Maokai opting to start blue to try to mitigate that and try to get away from any prep that might land Jarvan at his second spawn of Raptors. So we'll see if Pyosik ends up wasting some time going after Raptor spawn number 2. Early poke there from Pallet, getting Yeon a little bit chunked. Loses a little bit of value with the red gun giving so much healing here for an Aphelios. Much maligned laning phase for this champion, especially level 1, because you don't have a spell. But these guns are pretty good. They do a decent job of laning. They certainly give you the 2 best guns for the lane phase. You're going to see Aphelios try to juggle his guns around, probably get through the red gun first. It gives you the biggest health for your level 3 spike. It also puts the red gun next to the white gun, which gives you some all-in pressure around level 5. You're going to see them try to pair the green and the white for the rest of the game, and for laning phase, you'll get the green and the purple as well. We saw what happened to Team Liquid against T1. They went for an all-in fight while they had red gun, purple gun, and that is basically the worst combination for that, especially now that Severum has been gutted to not deal nearly as much damage ever since the match earlier this summer. All right, level 3 trades. Rumble always going to get the better of this. He can prolong the trade. It does result in a pushing wave if you keep that flame spitter on them, on their face. Summit opting to keep the minions with him. This lane is now coming back towards the Rumble. We'll see if Kiaya wants this or wants to reset it. It looks like he wants to reset it, which is very bizarre with Maokai right here with him. Jarvan coming up, trying to find wards, guessing that this might have been a window where if Maokai had started Raptors, they would be running into each other right now. Instead, Jarvan uncontested at the bot scuttle, Maokai uncontested at the top. This is exactly what Maokai wants. So he's trading 5 seconds off of his path, taking a quote unquote suboptimal path, but in turn is not going to get contested at the scuttle crab. It means that he's going to be able to reset just fine. This is where we'll see whether or not Jarvan goes for a Raptors for this follow-up. You also see these wards placed down here by Maokai, a sapling and a ward, to get this exact timer. This is something that the junglers do to solve the path, right? By figuring out exactly where this respawn is, you say, okay, it's coming up at 422. I know that he went blue to Gromp, and then he full cleared the bot side, and that gives you an idea of all the possible places that Jarvan might end up. So definitely something you can add to your repertoire if you're playing in solo queue. And even at the pro level, there are teams that don't do this well. It's always a consideration, always something that you want to be looking for. Now, I do want to give one nod to the draft phase. Something that surprised me about Gigabyte Marines, they had Tristana picked in the first cycle, and potentially they just thought they wanted this matchup into Orianna anyways, and so they were just going to keep it no matter what. But when you have Tristana who can flex into the bot lane, I'm surprised that they didn't take Rakan on red 4 and then look at the matchups and then say, oh, you've got Aphelios. Okay, I'll bring Tristana down here, and then I can bring even bigger counters to the Orianna. Just an option that was available to them. I'm surprised they didn't take it. Going for that Zeri made it very committal what they were going to be doing. And they end up against Aphelios anyway, so they're going to have a winning lane for Zeri no matter how you cut it. And Tristana is still going to have a significant amount of all-in threat here against Orianna as well. Ori's about to hit 6, and I say the all-in it favors the Tristana, but not if Ori is able to get this big chunk. Basically, we've lost all of our window here for going for any all-in. Starting at level 6, Orianna has permanent kill threat here every time that the shockwave is up. All right, we got a little bit of aggression. This is something that Kiaya, this has been the scouting report on Kiaya, that he often oversteps and takes a lot of risks. He is very good. They've been finding a lot of positive and proactive plays with him, but often overstepping is a source of weakness, is a place that you can gank, so I'm happy to see TL putting some amount of attention up there, looking for the big punish. We'll see if Tristana rotates over. That should be the end of the fight now that the call is that Tristan is here. And Orianna is a little bit late to the contest, means that there is no play left over for Team Liquid. Now we have Lingering Vision down in the bot side. They've got one in the tri-bush. It looks like they just ran out or replaced. Must have just ran out. They've got 2 control wards, one in the river, one behind the pay. Oh, we do see a hook hit, which is going to change the narrative here. This means that we have the red-white spike, red-white gun, don't fight. You're playing against Aphelios. Not just that, but we have an early back into Berserker Greaves, meaning that we've kind of left ourselves in a bad spot. And this was another thing that GAM has been doing. Slater has been tending to try to overstay and get a little bit greedy with his recalls. Possibly trying to get this early call and turn it into a Noon Quiver. But aptly done by Aphelios, finding the recall timer for himself, Yeah, again, another ultimate from APA, just chunking for health. Beautifully played. But yeah, continuing against Slater, right? Anytime that someone's trying to either greed for play or greed for a back, you can call your jungler over and potentially imprison them into the lane, get them into a really bad spot for themselves. That's exactly what we have here. We're going to have a big punish all the way to a play and more. This is going to turn into a play and a better back, meaning that Aphelios is going to have a lead again. They might even go for 2 because he's got the red-white combination. So he could set up the chakram as the... There it goes, gets 2 plates for himself. So a significant lead here for Yeon. Well played to get this far. No, don't go back in. No, what are you guys doing? Oh, this is a punt. Okay. This is a call that P06 making. No, stay. I want to go to this. This is awful. I can't say it enough. All right, right now you're facing off against Berserkers and Vamp Scepter here, meaning that you're down in items from the AD carry position and you're asking for an invade against a team that just recalled. This is only going to ever int you. Wow. The fact that they get away with it is astounding. I mean, it is at the cost of a flash, all right? Zeri tried to flash to try to go for this kill, and it looks like they might get some amount of continuation. But again, these are champions who have recently shopped. They should be stronger here. What is going on? Wow. All right, they find a way to outplay this. This is not by the book. This is not how you want to do it at all. The fact that they get out means that they're going to survive and get their recalls in. Another thing that could have happened, even despite the steal and the flash away, right? The onus was on you to play perfectly and to outsmite, and you were going to have to flash to get away anyways. You could have, as GAM, just taken your prize as like, okay, now Aphelios is stuck here and they can never recall while we're stronger. 80 flat. That wasn't even close. Bizarre. That is like truly bizarre. Then sticking for this fight here instead of kiting back. I just don't get it. Did they think that Slater was coming closer? It looked like Slater was picking up mid. So clear miscommunication from GAM. That should have been punished. That was a bad play from Team Liquid. It is something that I would want to erase from their playbook. And you have to be so careful. I understand what P06's trying to do. He's seeing it from his lens. Like, hey, my team has prio, and I have the timer on their blue. I can look for an invade. But Aphelios was desperately looking for a back. I mean, look how much gold he had in inventory to shop with. Even if this weren't a completed recurve bow, it would have been at least another dagger on top of the Noon Quiver. So we would have had a significant combat lead going into this situation. Instead, based on the dyssynergy of Zeri rotating mid, maybe they think that they're going there, and then a missed flash, like everything possible going wrong for GAM there. So tons of momentum in the favor of TL. Aphelios is able to get back in there. I guarantee you that was the cause, right? Because you saw Thresh's hook, or Thresh's lantern. They smash in the wave. They get the 2 plates. The lantern out as the second plate is dying. The call is very clear that they want to back off there. All right, Katie getting a big chunk here. Jumping in, jumping out. You can reset your W with Tristana with your spells landing or your auto attacks landing if you can get the bomb to pop or if you can get a kill. So lots of ways to get resets here. We're going to see if this is upfront damage. Rumble ult completely whiffs. Feels bad when it's like that, guys. There has been a vastly different performance on Rumble Ultimates this tournament. Would like to see anytime that you can cut off the team and cut off the retreat, force half the team to step forward and half the team to step back, and ideally funneling it along a path that they would have to travel to escape. Those are the best ultimates. Anytime that you're just kind of reaching for that damage feels really weak. I think maybe some of these guys need to take trig class. No, it is what it is. All right, so Team Liquid off the back of those plates in the bot lane and those extra kills means that they're going to have some prio for the early game. They're going to continue to have advantage. Rumble's still going to be stronger, but honestly, we need better play from Kiaya if he's going to carry this game. Radiant Virtue comes in from Maokai, aiming for the all-in. Probably going to go with Demonic Embrace next. See a bunch of all-ins here from Katie. Here's the correct follow-up, but Trist, all right, you have to be careful. Ever since the nerfs to the magic resist, right before Worlds, she gave up some MR, turned it into armor, made her much better in the bot lane and relative to mid lane AD champions, much stronger against, Cassante types or even, the random like Yasuo's and Zeds, but we're not going to see Zed or Talon at this tournament. At least not in mid lane, I don't think. Maybe in the jungle. All right, long range engage. Tristana follows up. There's no threat of a kill back because the shockwave is already down. Love to see the aggression there. APA stepping way up into that lane, thinking that he had a big advantage on Tristana. Normally, you need to ask your jungler to stay by if you're going to play that aggressively. Ends up stepping back. We see Slater going for an aggressive play, but Team Liquid jumps on it, but the teleport in from Rumble is going to be massive. All right, so this is tons of damage. They don't get anything else for it. We'll see if Maokai ends up pathing over to the top lane to just get this wave crashed in. Nope, they don't do it. Instead, they go for mid. We got 4 plates, so Tristana's going to be massive. Maokai could have pathed over to the top. Now that both top laners teleported over, you're absolutely okay to go reset that wave and shove it in. By doing that, you'll ensure that it pushes back to your team as well. So that can gain you more resources in total than taking a jungle camp, at least in the short term. Taking the jungle camp will help to reset the timer. Good peel here by Rakan. Good job by Thresh to block as much as possible. Zeri dealing a lot less damage if you can stand in the way. That's why front to back plus tanks was so big in the Zeri meta, because you want to have that beefcake in the middle of the fight that your marksman can shoot over, that Zeri cannot shoot over to block the attacks. Right now we're kind of leaning on Cassante to accomplish that role. We'll see if we get anyone else. This is an early Megatron cloak, which means we're looking at early Abyssal Mask, and this is one of those games where it's not going to have as much value. It's going to be very good in the lane, very strong against Rumble. In fact, can flip that matchup, although it doesn't augment any of your own damage, so really just stacking the resistance isn't doing that much for you. I'd much rather see Force of Nature in this game because of the Maokai saplings. But early Megatron sometimes just gets purchased as well, just as an item. Just buy it because it has tons of value. In the game, you only really need a certain amount of resistance to get away from Maokai and Rumble. But we'll see what this ends up turning into. We gave Summit a lot of grief for his Abyssal Mask the first time he bought it, when there was a singular Orianna with Leandri's Anguish. It's like, if you want an MR item in that game, Force of Nature would have been a mile better. There was also only one person on your team to amplify the damage. All right, see a little bit of prio here. Now, into these river fights, you're going to see that Gigabyte Marines is going to have a significant advantage here. Aphelios is going to feel really weak in these positions, trying to step up. You do have Jarvan and Cassante to make some space for you and to make some playmaking, but no one compares to Maokai in this like river control. He's putting saplings in all the bushes. He's going to get Demonic Embrace next, make it really hurt if you do want to face check. Plus you have Zeri, who can fly over these walls. She can stay. She is the best split push oriented AD carry for mid lane. So your team wants to create pressure in side lanes. She's the best in mid lane. She's got AoE clear for herself. She can jump over walls. She can get to any fight very quickly, and she can do it with that empowered laser, making her exceptionally strong. The kit is just that good. That's the case with Zeri. Her numbers need to be so low, or they need to take out some of the capacities of the kit before she'll stop seeing play. The discussion was whether or not the numbers were actually already that low, but I think this is the 4th game of Zeri that we've seen this tournament, so we're already seeing plenty, and that's what you want. If you want the hyper scaling, this is the champion that you go for. All right, we ultimate in. We see a red carpet being laid down. Pyosik trapping himself in here, going to burn to death, going to just die. Dubious decision making by Pyosik again. I'd hate to think that because he almost 1v9'd against T1 that he thinks that he has to 1v9, but it seems like he is making very aggressive calls on dubious amounts of information and just relying on an execution difference that may not always be there, and it's not something you can control, right? If they play well, they're going to beat you. So kind of inty there from Pyosik, if we're being honest. All right, we don't want to see any more plays like that. He's going to be late coming out of the base coming over here. But that said, most of Gigabyte's vision is centered around the top side river, not the bot side. You see those 3 control wards being there. I'd like to see them keep that and just give this dragon, or just go for a headlong, rumble ultimate into go in. But if they don't have this timer's kind of tough to track. I believe we have about 15 seconds left on it. If there's 15 seconds, you might be able to find a continuation fight. But more importantly, you see this push that's happening in the mid lane. This is what the prize is going to be. The push prio and into the setup for the Baron. They're going to be able to get all of the Western Quadrant vision. This teleport is bizarre. Why are you teleporting? There's nothing to get here. All right, this fight's going to be favored for GAM. Also, let's see, Kiaya is getting overheated, which means that he will come back in time for his ultimate, or his ultimate will come back in time. Now we have a huge HP lead. We've got the push prio in mid. This is going to turn into permanent damage. No one can really stick around. Orianna and Cassante coming out of the base right now means that this turret's dead, and they're probably going to get another charge off if they want it. No, they opt for the faster back. They did move some of their control wards, which I don't like. You want to keep that line. When you have those control wards here, let's play super greedy. Like, in what world do you ever survive that? All right, ultimates being traded. Orianna and Tristana. Or Tristana's is down. Orianna being used. They also use... No, was that not Jarvan's? Spectator bug? Didn't we just see him all up top? Easy? Yeah, that's an ultimate. Okay. Yeah, spectator bug. That thing's definitely down. Would be interesting if like a bug came out and we saw it and he was able to cast a spell. I guess, I mean, we're going to assume it's spectator because, they have enough issues with their client that it's probably going to be that. Would be nice if we actually got a balanced and clean game. Addy missing all the CS right here. Thinking about the play, I don't mind missing the CS because you're focusing on what you're going to do in this play. Look at the peel by Rakan, beautifully done. Still going to bite, not going to bite the dice. APA shorts the spell, which means that we're going to get knockback in here. The fact that they couldn't secure that is a travesty for Team Liquid. Super greedy by Caddy going in, but you see these guys, this just doesn't happen with the best teams, the Koreas and the Chinese teams. The level of individual mechanical play is just always there. We see these slip ups from the minor region teams. And Vietnam, it's our favorite out of all of them. We like Brazil, we like Vietnam. They've been doing a lot of really cool things. But this sort of thing, you just never want this to happen where you're just missing everything to lead off. Some of it has to do with pressure, right? They put a lot of pressure onto themselves. This is their chance to get further. This is sort of like making it through group stages. If you can win this and survive, play another best of 3. Might be feeling a lot of pressure, especially these players. Like, this team's been so good, but often couldn't represent their region because of the travel restrictions for Vietnam being as strict as they were. APA finding a good little trap here. The solo kill. All right. All right, so breathing life into Team Liquid. We'll see if they can come back from this situation. If they can step up, with Katie being dead, means that they should be able to go and force this Baron. Katie was one of the biggest sources of gold. They still have to worry about the Rumble Ultimate, but basically with 2 items done on Aphelios, this is the strongest they're going to be relative to the enemy team. Their scaling is fantastic. But against Tristana, Zeri, and even Rumble, the combination of Maokai Rumble together, I don't expect them to want to go into an in-game scaling situation. Aphelios is so strong right now. I'm actually very disappointed that they didn't go for this. All right, they do turn off the vision. Jarvan calling in. They were going for traps. Oh my goodness. Core missing the Q and missing the lantern. Therefore, the lantern just shorts it. Oh my god. These guys must be so nervous. Guys, when you're nervous. The good news is you care. It means that you want to win. It means that it really matters to you, and that's a good thing. You live for these situations. Also, you are in control of how you can react. Now, these things, there's a lot that goes on in your body with the hormones and adrenaline that goes into your body that puts you into this elevated state, because it's meant to make us survive, right? In difficult situations, what you can do to calm that is bring yourself to your own baseline. Recognize where your baseline is. You can take 2 inhales and hold for like 4 seconds, exhale for 4. And you just do this every time you go back to the fountain. And by doing that, you reset your baseline. You bring yourself the clarity of thought so that you can handle the task at hand. And if you are nervous, like let's say you get tight in your chest, your diaphragm tightens up, or if your arms start getting wobbly, which tends to happen, you see like these players shaking when they really start carrying, address it. Say, okay, I'm nervous. I'm feeling my nerves here. I'm feeling very loose in my arms, or I'm feeling very like butterflies in my stomach. When you breathe that energy to that spot and address the issue. Don't just ignore it. Don't just say, oh, I can fight through it, because then you end up on this like even more tilted scope. Sort of like if you were driving and you were going through a curve, you wouldn't want to just accelerate and step on the gas and redline and go all the way, right? Because then you end up losing control of the car. You can tap the engine, for example, or you can just go completely out of control and roll to a catastrophic crash, right? That's what happens when you just try to like fight through it, as opposed to saying, okay, I'm nervous. I've got butterflies in my stomach. When you take that deep breath, you address it, it helps to calm that area, because you're actually putting energy into that spot on your body, and it can help you to resolve that stress. And then you can elevate at this moment and say, all right, it's time to go. Here's the fight. Here I go. And you can perform your best there. Slight amounts of agitation are best for performance. You do not want to be crazy nervous. You don't want to be crazy upset. You want to be a little bit agitated enough to care about playing your best. That is what tends to be the case for like 97% of people. Anyways, hopefully you guys can use that as a trick. There is a video, I'll put the link in the description below, controlling your emotions, that goes into a very baseline approach to how to set your baseline, and then you can look to optimize what's going on psychologically speaking. And if anyone wants to work on it, check out Gigagaming Academy /coaching. Set up a performance psych session with Israel Reyes. All right, we've got a performance psychologist. He's a master level support player who has his degree in performance psychology. He'd love to work with you. So if you guys want to check it out, just send us a message on Discord. You can put a timestamp in the description below, in the comments, 2520. If you are having trouble navigating the system, or if you want to do it, we'll up, all right? Just put 25:20. I'd like to do performance psych, something like that, and we will get you set up. Anyways, coming back into the game, we've got a 3K deficit right here. We're going to go for a big recon engage. This is going to favor the Rumble composition every single time. Summit trying for the peel. It does look like we got a Force of Nature in inventory, so he'll be able to escape. But you see this fight, when you're moving in different directions, it's up to the GAM to choose which direction to attack in. They're kind of going to get the majority of the damage. They're always going to have a damage lead for these fights. All items being picked up, 2 items across the board, 1 Radiant Virtue for the Recon. We've already spoken about the benefits of this Merc Treads Radiant Virtue build compared to old Lucid Boots builds. We also have the Last Whisper coming in from Zeri, going entirely indexed on the AD side of things, not trying to do anything, but interesting to see Bork. I don't know that I've seen Blade of the Rune King paired with Navori Quick Blades on Zeri. So if you guys have seen this, put it in the comments. Let me know about this build. Obviously, just going for the extra amplification, you get the on-hit values. Looks like we might get like a Runan's Hurricane to go afterwards, after Lord Doms, for example. I'm just getting ripped apart by Katie. Katie and Slater, right? They're like, okay, you want to go Force of Nature and Merc Treads? Fine. We will rip into you. We will gladly do that. We have enough armor mitigation on our own. And this game is in GAM's hands for sure now. Baron buff in tow. We're going to see how they decide to end the game. You're probably going to see adjacent lanes pushing with focus on vision in the quadrant in between the pushing lanes. You tend to want your fighter alone in the mid lane once it gets damaged, so that they are the best flanking threat, because in bot lane it is very hard to actually escape from a flank. They can sort of drop that hammer to the anvil is the analogy we like to say, where the 4 just kind of pushes in, it's pressing you further, and then the hammer comes in from an angle, and you make sure that they collide. You have to move succinctly, and you have to move together, sort of like clapping your hands. You're bringing strength to strength to move them up. Look how they've put control wards in behind them. You can see it on the minimap. All the way over here, they've got a couple to prevent the trades. If you are Team Liquid, you have to force a fight in a engage juncture behind a turret. That is your best chance at doing it. We end up seeing the proactive play here from GAM, though. They get the fight that they want, meaning that they are going to steamroll this fight. Double AD carry just ripping through the composition right now, dealing so much damage. And basically no threat returned. There's no synergy. I've not seen any synergy between Pyosik and APA for this tournament. We're going to see if Team Liquid can put something better together for Game 2. Pyosik having fun with his spear there. I don't know about that.